Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, Divinely Transformed. My name is Lisa, and whether you're new or returning, I am glad that you're here. This is not a reading, okay? So, in my last few readings, I started talking about codependency in a different way. I called it self-love deficit disorder. I haven't called it that before until yesterday because I've actually been doing some research on codependency because I'm tired of throwing the word around. It's so overused. So I want to tell y'all all about it. Okay? I just did do some research on it. It's very thorough. I will include the link in the description box below because I'm not going to get dinged for plagiarism. This is mostly word for word from the website. It's not the whole entire website, but it's a good portion of it. And so, therefore, I will not monetize this video because I'm not looking to make money off of it. I'm just looking to educate y'all. That's it. So, with that being said, here's some free information for you. The clinical definition of codependency is this is not on the website. This is just from Googling. But I did add and or financial reliance because people abuse people, codependently abuse people financially too. So whenever I Googled it, this is the full definition. I just incorporated and or financial because people do abuse people financially. Codependency is excessive emotional, psychological, and or financial reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account of an illness or an addiction. The clinical definition of self-love deficit disorder is it's a medically unrecognized syndrome in which a person normalizes abuse in intimate relationships. People suffering from this condition tend to negate self-love and neglect their own needs in the process of caring for their narcissistic and abusive partners. But partners, I'm just going to add in there, they can be your family members, they can be your children, they can be your coworkers, they can be your friends. They're the people you love the most, but yet they might not love you as much as you love them. You'll be able to tell after I'm done with all of this. The love for oneself or the one's regard for one's own happiness is what self-love is. It is also a state of appreciation for oneself, supported by thoughts and actions that fuel personal, physical, and psychological and spiritual growth. Let me read that again. Self-love is a state of appreciation for yourself, supported by thoughts and actions that fuel your personal, physical, psychological, and your spiritual growth. That's what my channel is all about. Truthfully, truth be told. The following benefits of self-love explain why it's important. It gives you greater happiness. It gives you stronger resilience. It gives you self-compassion. It gives you increased motivation. And it gives you better physical and mental health. Why? Because you're free. Self-love deficit disorder, we'll just call it SLDD. It'll be used quite a bit throughout. It is a mental state in which a person normalizes an unequal and abusive intimate relationship and accepts the imbalanced one-sided distribution of love, respect, and care. Did y'all hear that? It is a mental state in which SLDD is a mental state in which a person normalizes an unequal and an abusive intimate relationship and accepts it, accepts the imbalance, one-sided distribution of love, respect, and care from the other person. A lot of us have grown up in this culture, subconsciously, unawares. And this is why a lot of us are in these shitty abusive relationships repetitively. Because we've been conditioned to believe it's normal to be abused and mistreated by another person. It is the lack of self-love, and it is also known as toxic codependency. It's medically unrecognized mental condition and cannot be found in psychiatric manuals. It's not there yet, but there is something similar. People with SLDD chronically find themselves in imbalanced and unhealthy relationships where one person has all the power and they don't. They're always fighting for something. They tend to gravitate toward toxic and self-serving people who only receive and give nothing in return. That's what I've been talking about for months. You need to get away from these people. That's why we find ourselves feeling so helpless, because we're gravitated toward these people. We chronically find people and we find them ourselves. Well, not anymore, but imbalanced and unhealthy relationships. When you don't know this about yourself, you tend to gravitate toward toxic and self-serving people who only receive and give nothing in return, just leaving you drained. They are the weaker and abuser codependents to partners or others in close relationships who selfishly absorb others' energy and resources. Yes, narcissists and abusers, they selfishly absorb other people's energy and resources. Sexual energy, emotional energy, psychological energy, financial energy, physical energy, emotional energy, whatever they want, they'll absorb it. Often they have damaged perceptions of reality and self-assessment, believing that they are fundamentally flawed or damaged. Perhaps that's hammered into your head by your abuser. Which only reinforces it. This belief, it's a false reality. They abuse themselves and negate the abuse directed at them from others that are close to them. And these abuse methods are self-gaslighting, denial, disassociation, oblivion, and negative self-talk. Could be other things too, but etc. is here, but I don't know what else to put after that. This is how a person with self-love deficit disorder would abuse themselves, gaslight themselves, deny themselves of things that they want, need, love, crave, Disassociation from reality. Everything's perfect when it's so not. Oblivion, which is complete confusion, the complete distortion of reality. That's like way down the road when you're just crazy and out of your mind. You wouldn't even be able to be rational, thoughtful, or practical. Negative self-talk, that's like the beginning of it. Telling yourself negative things. Fixed false beliefs about yourself or about this other person, about how much you need them. It's a false sense of reality. Fear, which reminds me the definition of fear, which is false evidence appearing real. You're afraid of it. It's false evidence. But it feels so real to you that you just stay away from it. You just can't. Sometimes we fear things that would be amazing and awesome and great and healthy for us. That's if you're conditioned this way. I was. So glad I came out of it. Realized what the fuck was wrong with me. Because it really was what was within me. I found it. It took a while, but I found it. And I found that the majority of us are enmeshed in this culture as well, so that we're subconsciously unaware that we're either in a narcissistic or empathetic paradigm in relationships with others. Let's get back to this. The psychology of SLDD is very similar to that of dependent personality disorder, DPD. That is actually in the manuals. I'm not getting that definition out. I don't feel like that's important. If y'all want to look that shit up, y'all look that up on the APA website yourself, on the American Psychological Association. But it is called Dependent Personality Disorder, DPD. And this is what's similar to SLDD that is actually in the manual. So the psychology of SLDD is very similar to that of Dependent Personality Disorder, DPD, and they act out of intense guilt, low self-esteem, pathological loneliness, and obsessive fear of abandonment. I remember feeling all of these ways. Intense guilt. Oh my God, if I stop doing this, then it's the people that are closest to you and they make you feel guilty, and it makes everything so much worse. It makes it that much hard. Then on top of that, you have low self-esteem. You don't feel good about yourself. They don't help matters any. And they're probably the main reasons why you don't feel good about yourself. Having a sense of pathological loneliness. You can be around so many people and be completely lonely. I remember feeling this way for decades. Because I never felt completely seen, appreciated, loved, or anything. I was just always there to be used and abused, and I'm just like, hey, how can I help you today? Just to, wanting to help people to feel better, but then they make me feel worse for helping them because, they got to be a dick. And if they're not being a dick, then sometimes I'll still have my happy moment, but it's still I'm enabling somebody in the past, and that was not how I should have been doing things, but I didn't know what else to do, how to channel that addiction, that need, that drive to want to help and support and care and love people however I could. And then there's that obsessive fear of abandonment. Oh yeah, I remember that too. I can't have them leave me. I gotta keep going. They're starting to appreciate me. They're starting to see me. They're starting to understand me. Oh, I got a compliment the other day. Oh, but it's like breadcrumbing. You're just so afraid to lose these people because, they're showing you some kind of attention, but they're not treating you right. People with SLDD display a long-term pattern of passivity, which is being passive, letting other people run the show. Unconditional obedience and submission. I remember all that too. I was the yes person. Somebody needed help? Yes. Unless I couldn't. And then I'd be like, oh, I can't. And I really wanted to. And I'd be upset because I couldn't. This unconditional obedience, this passivity and submission, it cripples us from functioning normally in different social settings. So we have to overcome the patterns of being passive, being unconditionally obedient to people, and submitting just because they want us to. Why should we cripple ourselves from functioning normally in social settings anymore for other people because we love them unconditionally and we give them unconditional love and unconditional power? Fuck no. Unconditional love is not giving someone else unconditional power over you. It's giving someone that trust that y'all can be free to love each other without conditions. That's what that is. Not one side with conditions and one side with no conditions. Both, all parties, to be without conditions in love situations of all kinds, where it's not real, it's false, it's ego love, it's unfulfilling, it's selfish. People with SLDD neglect their own needs. They compulsively cling to narcissistic and abusive people for validation and approval and display a pathological gratitude. I'm so grateful to you. You gave me a compliment today, but usually you insult me, but today you complimented me. That's an example of narcissistic abuse. Neglecting your own needs. Oh, I'll go without a shower. I'm not going to comb my hair today. Well, I don't have any hair, but most people do. I don't feel very good about myself, so I'm just going to go to the store in my pajamas today. Fuck it. Oh, I don't feel like brushing my teeth. I'm too tired. I am so guilty of that one. These are examples of neglecting your own needs. While they might seem small, it could build up into a larger problem. And believe me, I've witnessed it almost become a larger problem because I medically neglected myself for decades to the point where I almost died. Had I not made the decision to get off drugs, start losing weight, and then start focusing on diet, because I was focusing on exercise to get off the prescription drugs and all that. So, but yeah, like when we have narcissistic people all around us, we constantly we're so lonely and we're so dying for that gratitude, that appreciation, that anything from somebody, that just acknowledgement, for validation and approval. We fight for it so hard because we love these people. They're around us, and we shouldn't have to fight for validation, approval, or gratitude. Because I've come to find that since I've attracted my soul family, they say the exact things that I need that water my soul. And it's all about what you say to me. Because my Venus is in Gemini. I want to hear from I want communication, written and verbal, about what I mean to someone. And I do the same. I communicate how I feel, written and verbal, about others. It's all about communicating my emotions, and others communicating their emotions to me is a direct need, and that is all I need. Some people need more. I don't need a lot. I just need those heartfelt, meaningful words from someone who means it. I've been around people who have thanked me and said how much they appreciated me and everything, but I never felt that energy coming from them. It was like nothing. It was hollow. They were just saying the words. And sadly, these were people close to me. Anyhow, let's get back to this. Consequently, people with SLDD adopt maladaptive behaviors or practices to cope with their not-so-pleasant realities. Yeah. Like doing drugs. Yeah, like drinking. Like sex addictions. Like overeating, undereating, or whatever. Just eating disorders, etc. Could be anything. Gambling. Shopping. I don't fucking know what y'all do. You do. Because of this, SLDD is frequently associated with poor mental health, self-harm, and suicidal tendencies. Yeah, I've had a long history with that bullshit. And you know, whenever I was in therapy before, the only reason I was in therapy is because other people were jerks to me and I didn't know how to handle it. The people that were closest to me, the people that were supposed to love me and take care of me. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to do. So what did I do? I shut down. I repressed my emotions. I shut up to get along. I started bending over backwards to please these fuckers to make it better. It didn't. People with self-love deficit disorder get into abusive and toxic relationships with narcissists as they believe that they can control, manipulate, and heal the narcissistic and abusive parties into loving, caring, and respecting them. Yeah. They'll hurt you, and then they'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. They'll come and heal the situation. They'll come and hurt and heal your feelings on the situation, and then they'll do the shit over and over and over again. Because they don't care. They have no regret, no remorse, no guilt, no shame. They will behave as badly as you fucking allow them to. And that's just the truth. Let me read that one more time. People with self-love deficit disorder, they get into abusive and toxic relationships with narcissists as they believe they can control, manipulate, and heal the narcissistic and abusive parties into loving, caring, and respecting them. You believe that you can heal that person. You think that you can make them see the light. You can't make them do shit. They already see your light. They don't like it. They already know the truth. They're denying it. They don't give a fuck. They're not going to change. People with self-love deficit disorder voluntarily give up their power to their power-hungry peers only to humiliate and coax them with care and kindness. Yeah, these people will lure you back with care and kindness and love and whatever you want. Money, drugs, care, kindness, love, sex, whatever you want. They'll lure you back with whatever you want. And they're right back hammering you for another cycle. Narcissists are people who are Narcissists are people who are habituated to devouring resources and maintaining their negative and unhealthy stances. Habituated. It's what you do every day. 6th house of Virgo. Narcissists are people who are habituated to devouring resources. They squander, they take, they waste, they spend. They devour the resources. And they maintain their negative and unhealthy stances. They don't change. They still believe the same way. They talk the same way. They act the same way. They do the same things. Everything remains unchanged. They are unapologetic. While you're just saying, oh, that's okay. Oh, that's okay. Love me, love me, love me. It's like that song. Love me, say that you love me, fool me, fool me. Go on and fool me, love me, pretend that you love me, need me, just say that you need me, I can't care about anything but you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like being blinded to the truth and just saying, love me anyway. I don't care what you do. I don't like that, that other song, I don't like it. It's called Love the Way You Lie. It reinforces toxic, negative behaviors in relationships. And people are like, oh, I just love this song. It describes our relationship perfectly. That's not romance. That's awful. These aren't love songs. This is self-love deficit disorder love songs. This is one-sided love with people who abuse us and take advantage of us. I'm recovering. And I'm doing damn good at recovering too. Might I add. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. It just takes some work. It takes effort. It takes motivation. It takes dedication and commitment and loyalty to doing the hard work on yourself in all aspects. Let's get back to this. If and when people with SLDD try to reinforce mutual and fair boundaries, their narcissistic partners punish them with some form of active or passive-aggressive retaliation. And that is the key. This is a pattern. You see this pattern? Fucking run! Codependents are convinced by themselves and their narcissistic partners that their sacrifice and selfless caring are synonymous with commitment, loyalty, and love. No, they're fucking not. We're not called to sacrifice our being and caring about someone else so much that we just totally disregard ourselves. And that is not the same thing as commitment, loyalty, and love. That's fucking wrong and it's false. That's someone who is using you, taking advantage of you, and enslaving you in some way. As they find themselves greatly emotionally involved in these toxic relationships, they develop unhealthy coping and defense mechanisms. Oh yeah. Daydreaming is one of them. Obsessive daydreaming is an unhealthy coping and defense mechanism. Because they're so greatly emotionally involved and enmeshed in these toxic relationships. They develop these unhealthy coping and defense mechanisms just to stay in it. People with SLDD deny their realities. They develop an addiction towards abuse and a near empathetic obsession with their abusive partners. Yeah. You're obsessed with your abusive partners. You're obsessed with participating in your own abuse. How about stop that shit? When they are entangled, they neglect their own needs. The caretaking and sacrificing with people with SLDD settle in long-term relationships with the selfish and entitled narcissistic people around them. So stop neglecting your own needs. Stop neglecting your own caretaking. Sacrificing your small shit for other people who don't even appreciate what you're doing any fucking way. They just expect it. And when you're not giving it, they're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Where's my whatever? The symptoms are guilt, low self-esteem and self-worth, pathological loneliness, fear of abandonment, overdependency for love and affection, appreciation, gratitude, whatever. Extreme passivity. Oh, that's okay. That's just how they are. I just learned to live with it. No. That's actually self-gaslighting, which is number 7. Neglecting your own needs. Attempting control with care, services, favors, etc. Why? Because you don't get any. You don't get any control in these narcissistic relationships with others. You form relationships with other people where you have control and to balance this out, but this is very toxic. this power dynamic shouldn't even exist, whether it's one side or the other. All relationships should be equal, reciprocal. I give, you give. 10th symptom is continuing in abusive relationships. Symptom 11, having narcissistic partners, parents, etc. That's the big one. That's how you know you're really in it. Is when you can see you can see the narcissists all around you, and you can be like, oh my God, they were always all around me all the time. Number 12, denial of reality. Hopefully this video will help you no longer to deny this reality if this is your current reality. And just say, fuck you. I'm not going to keep bending over backwards for you no more. Number 13, going out of your way to please unappreciative people. Oh man, I've really done that. And I did that over the top and really big. Okay. So, these relationships, they form trauma attachment bonds. Trauma bonding. And it causes core shame. The abused abuses themselves. Oh, I remember doing that too. I used to really hammer myself and inside of myself, being so super duper critical of myself with that triple Virgo power by the in the 6th house of Capricorn, with super obsession with the super critical Virgo. Oh yeah, I was super self-abusive. Secretly too. And it totally crippled me. I used to like to abuse myself, and then it just was like, whatever. It was regular routine, and it was like, whatever. And now, I'll never do that again. Because it crippled my self-esteem, my self-worth, and my independence. Well, I never had self-esteem or self-worth until recently. Didn't know that. But it was just completely, like, not there. And my independence definitely was not there. And that was, like, the glaring obvious thing my whole life, is that I was not independent. I was relying on someone else for something major my whole life. Not for something like helping me move a table. I'm talking about for helping me to live, function, survive. Because I couldn't do it myself. I wasn't even fucking trying. Until one day, I was just like, I am fucking desperate for that independence. I will do whatever it takes. And it took years of hard work. In stages, I had to start small. Because my health was so physically deteriorated, I had to start with healing my physical health before I could even think about getting a job. Oh, and my first job, it was like shaking, and I was like hardly able to function. It didn't last very long either. I went through a few jobs, and a couple of them only lasted like a month, maybe month and a half, but they didn't last very long because I was in poor physical health still. I was still, in process of getting healthy, but not really making a whole lot of efforts to do so yet, concerning diet. And exercise could have been done better back then, but I was doing my best with what I had and what I could do at the time. My financial situation was like bleak. I was basically living in a trap house, which wasn't really aware of that before I moved in. And it was a fucking nightmare. And it was actually the very first place where I started my channel, where my very first videos are located. That was the trap house that I was living at. That was when God first told me to start my channel. And I was just like, oh, okay. And it was not easy to do. I did not really want to do it. I was not comfortable with doing so, and it took a long time to get to the point where I am today, to be able to comfortably sit and talk about myself even. I wasn't talking about myself. Fuck no. It took me a long time to start talking about myself. I always had trouble being, what do I want to say? Transparent about myself, because people would take information that I would say about myself and use it against me for so long. Now I just don't give a fuck. I'll tell you my business because I learned from my shit. Right? I learned from my shit so I can show you how I learned from my shit and how I overcame, and I really came back huge from disability in a big way, in a way that I never have before. I never thought I could be capable of any of this. In fact, I thought I'd be dead by now, to be honest with you. In fact, I almost was. Many times. And the last time being 2019. If I wouldn't have made the decision to get off those drugs would have killed me. Period. I promise you. Because it was a combination of prescription pain medicine, narcotics of varying sorts, muscle relaxers, nerve pain medicine, because the pain I was in was extreme. Could barely fucking move. And then I was on several different mental health drugs. And I was not myself. My emotions were erratic. The only emotion I really seemed to have was anger or sadness or depression. Happiness was non-existent because nothing around me was making me happy. I was ready to die. In fact, I wanted to die whenever I made this whole big drastic life decision to just change my life, because I've looked back and I realized that I ruined my own life by thinking negatively, talking negatively, being negative, and behaving negatively. And that I really hadn't given myself the proper chance, that if I could just change my mind and my perspective from a negative to a positive, that I could really potentially make something of my life. And I truly believe that. And look where I am today. Didn't think it was possible. But it was because I wanted it so bad. I was so desperate and hungry for it. I worked hard for it. I was obsessive to make myself the best version of myself that I could be. Could be that Capricorn supercharging my triple Virgo energy. But whatever the case is this information's important. And I wanted to share it with y'all for free. Not monetizing this. And I'm leaving the link in the description box below. Because this isn't plagiarism. This is just a helpful resource for y'all to help y'all see that the way we grew up is fucked up. And I believe a very high percentage of us have this self-love deficit disorder. I'm talking 80, 90+% of people, of the population of the world, because we have been abusing each other for generations. We have been toxic with each other for generations. Everyone is flawed and programmed. Very few of us come into this world privileged and perfect. If anybody. I don't know. But it's time that we wake up and we see these behavioral patterns playing out. These are the karmic traps I'm talking about in my readings. I hope this makes even more sense to y'all and crystallizes the clear for y'all. That healthy relationships are important. If you don't have a healthy relationship, it ain't shit, and you should get rid of it. I don't care how this person's related to you. And this is coming from someone who's cut them all off. All of the narcissists closest to me. Parents, lovers, husbands, boyfriends, children, siblings, other family members. I was not afraid to walk alone. I walked alone my whole life, feeling misunderstood, with people all around me, surrounding me, being super demanding of me. The only person in my life that was not that was my grandma. I was like the younger version of her. Because all the codependent people swarmed to her too. When someone needed money or love or attention or food or whatever, go to grandma. Grandma will do it. Grandma's got whatever you need. My grandma was the only one in my life that understood me. She lived to be 91. And what a blessing every one of those years with my grandma has been. My grandma was the only source of unconditional love I ever knew. And I was looking for one other source of it. I'm still waiting. Because everybody else had conditions for me. They want this, 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 and this. Or I'm of no use to them. Well, I refuse to put off my own needs, wants, and desires for someone else. I refuse to swallow my pride and do something that I don't want to do just to help someone who needs it, who doesn't appreciate, who just wants it just because they expect it. And mostly because they failed to do it themselves when they could have, and had equal and ample opportunities to take care of whatever it was they needed to take care of. But, call Lisa or, whoever else is, in this, energy, they'll help you. They'll get you out of that jam. They have every time. You can count on them. They're trustworthy. See, people prey. Bad people prey on good people. Put on false fronts and false faces. One way in your face and another way behind your back. All because they want to confuse and trick you into thinking that they like you, they love you, but they just want some more of you and whatever you have to give. Whatever you're offering. They're just using and taking while the getting's good. Opportunists. Clout chasers. Users. I'm stopping this video here, but anyhow, I really hope this helps you, benefits you, and helps y'all on the path to healing. Thank y'all for your support of my work and my channel and all the ways that y'all do. I have several videos planned for today, so stay tuned. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to y'all soon.